She's got it. Yeah. All right, good evening, everyone. Okay, this is like when you're in church when the pastor gets up and he says, hey, how's everybody doing? And you kind of have to say something back to him. So good evening, everyone. There you go. See a lot of church people out here. All right. Any rate, I would like to welcome you all to the Lexington One Educational Foundation's 2022 Celebration of Excellence in Education. My name's Chris Rice, and I'm honored to serve as the chair of the Educational Foundation Board of Directors. Now, we'll tell you, our foundation is governed by a committed board of volunteer parents, business and community leaders, and trustees who want Lexington One to be the best school district it can be. So every year, this event is one of the highlights of our Educational Foundation efforts, since it commends the academic achievements of our Lexington District One seniors. We're especially glad to be able to hold this year's celebrations in a new split-night format, and these precautions were determined earlier this school year merely to be sure we had necessary safeguards in place in the event that the coronavirus numbers were high. But our foundation leadership always wants to embrace the celebrations as the event recognizes each of you students who earned a place in the top 10% of your senior class. So congratulations to each one of you for this academic honor. Y'all can clap for that. So while we're clapping for the students, just before I move forward, let me just tell you students, did you see the Step and Repeat banner outside with the Educational Foundation? The answer is yes. Your parents do want you to take a picture in front of that so that they can capture it for their memories. You may not want to, but they want to, okay? So we got that clarified. Is that okay, parents? Exactly, okay. 4 years ago, my daughter was at the Celebration of Excellence, so I know, yes, I want you to smile. Okay, so let's move forward. I would like to introduce to you the guests that we actually have on stage with us tonight. We're honored tonight. We've got Dr. Greg Little, our superintendent of Lexington One Schools, with us. We have Dr. Ryan Poole, principal of Lexington High School. We have Mr. Scott Gould, who is our speaker for the night. He's an author and writer. And we also have Julie Washburn here to my right, who is the executive director of the Lexington One Educational Foundation. So, yes, applause. So on behalf of the Educational Foundation Board and staff, I'd like to thank Dr. Poole and everyone at Lexington High School for working with the foundation leadership this year to make this event a reality. Lexington is our host high school for the 2022 celebrations. So thank you for allowing us to be here both nights to honor the top seniors in Lexington School District One. A sincerest thanks also to the many Lexington High School staff who were involved in the event planning and the celebration leaders at Gilbert High School, Pillion High School, River Bluff High School, and White Knoll High School, as well as the Lexington District One leadership who were important in helping to make these celebrations run smoothly. Such an event takes a team effort to make it a success, so we appreciate everyone's involvement. The Educational Foundation has a mission to raise and manage funds to positively make a difference in Lexington School District One. We do this by supporting amazing educational opportunities and enriching quality of life in our community by investing in students, teachers, staff, and educational programs. We're only able to do so through the generosity of our terrific partnerships with local individuals, businesses, and friends. And I am proud to say that we have invested over $200,000 into Lexington School District One through fiscal year 2020-2021. This was done through a variety of ways, and I'll just mention some of them to you. We have our Helping Hands grants that we gave to every single school within the district. We have innovation grants. We have Bucks for Books grants, senior scholarships, which those scholarships are out there now. You seniors, if you can apply, go ahead and apply. Deadline hadn't come yet. We have dorm room and academic supplement grants, our Caring Heart Fund, robotics grants, LTC pharmacology course funding, Golden Apple teacher grants, and many, many more investments, too numerous to name. So after last night's celebration, we were very pleased to hear from one of the honorees' parents, who also happens to be a Lake Murray Elementary teacher, as she shared how grateful she was for the foundation's efforts, and she said the Bucks for Books grants have had such a positive impact on her students that she just wanted to thank us personally for these investments in the classroom. And that really did my heart and Julie's heart well, just to hear that. So I'm wrapping up. Just thank you again for coming tonight and supporting the achievement of these outstanding seniors that we'll be recognizing shortly. They worked very hard for 4 years, and this is kind of, to me, a culminating event for you being honored here by the foundation. So at this time, I'll pass the program over to our Executive Director of the Educational Foundation, Ms. Julie Anderson Washburn, so that she can share with you the names of our many generous sponsors. Thank you.
I also want to add a congratulations to the seniors. I know y'all worked very hard to get to this place, and be proud of yourselves and enjoy your, the rest of your senior year. And thanks, Chris, for being here tonight and leading the efforts off and kicking off our welcome this evening. I do want to share with you the names of our generous sponsors, but before I do that, I wanted to share with the parents and our guests some of the things that the sponsors are making possible this year. Each of the seniors received a bag at their seat, and we have some cool things inside of it. I'll be the Vanna here. This is our water bottle that the kids hopefully can use next year as well. It has the little hook on the side. That's kind of a cool thing for the kids to have. We have a portfolio, a small portfolio with a pen, a notepad inside, and probably the most exciting thing for y'all is the Chick-fil-A gift card from Chick-fil-A Lexington. So, spend it well. We also have a Mid-Carolina Electric Cooperative cinch bag. We have a eyeglasses cleaner that Lexington Medical Center was kind to give us. And then you also have inside a celebration pen with the Old English Society name on it, as well as the initial of your high school that you attend. So some neat things that our sponsors made it possible for us to provide for the seniors this year. So a cool option. We also want to, let you know that the March issue of the Lexington Life magazine will include the names of all our honored seniors. So be sure and keep an eye out for that publication. And then lastly, we will share photos of the celebrations. One of my staff members has been awesome to go around and take pictures. So on Facebook later this week, we'll share the different photo albums for each evening's event. So be sure, and if you don't follow the foundation, we are LEX1EDFOUND. It's in your program a number of different times, but follow us, like our posts, share the photos and other things, and you're welcome also to save the photos for yourself if you see your child or friends in there. But now on to recognizing our sponsors who really made this event possible. Anytime the foundation holds an event, we are dependent on the generosity of others to make it possible. So we want to take a few minutes to recognize each of them and thank them for their kindness in supporting our top seniors this year. So I'm going to go through and name them by level. If y'all don't mind holding your applause until the end of each level. And then if our sponsors are here, I would love for y'all to stand as I recognize your company, your business, your individual name. Our diamond sponsors this year are Blue Cross Blue Shield, South Carolina, Duff Freeman Lyon, Attorneys at Law, First Community Bank, Halligan, Mahoney, Williams, Attorneys at Law, Lexington Medical Center, and Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. So let's give our diamond level sponsors a round of applause. Our platinum level sponsors are Chick-fil-A Lexington, Jumper Carter Cease Architects, Mid-Carolina Electric Cooperative, Mid-State Tire Distributors, Rhodes Graduation Services, the SIFA Group, Southeastern Freight Lines, and the town of Lexington, South Carolina. So let's give our platinum sponsors a round. Our gold level sponsors are Clayton Raw Farms, Gilbert High School, Gilbert Ruritan Club, Harleen and West Attorneys, H.G. Reynolds Company, Imagine Learning, Lexington High School, Lexington Technology Center, MB Con Construction, Pillion High School, River Bluff High School, Shumpert's IGA, Town of Gilbert, Town of Summit, Dr. Thomas Trinkner, and White Knoll High School. So let's give them a round of applause and thanks. And finally, our silver level sponsors are Chowan Associates, Davis and Frawley, Nancy K. Harmon, Lexington Sertoma Club, Doris R. Reynolds, Hugh Rogers, Attorney at Law, Senator Katrina Fry Sheely, the Tidwell Insurance Agency, the Town of Pillion, and Woodward, Cothran, and Herndon, as well as two collegiate sponsors that you may notice their ads in our program this evening, Coastal Carolina University and Columbia International University. So let's give one final round of thanks to all of our sponsors. As mentioned, please know that these sponsors are so wonderful in making this event possible, and we just can't thank them enough for supporting Lexington District 1 through their contributions to the Educational Foundation. And now I have the honor of introducing our superintendent, Dr. Greg Little. Dr. Little's enthusiasm for education is admirable. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts from the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, as well as a master's and doctorate degree from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And although his North Carolina ties are strong, he's fully acclimated to life in South Carolina since he served as our superintendent for 6 years. I have to harass him, though, because he still refers to UNC as Carolina, and I keep telling him it's USC. But, you know, we'll see if we can change him in that regard. He's done an outstanding job, though, leading Lexington 1 during a very trying time in the past 2 years in particular. He's very committed to students being successful in their future careers, no matter their chosen path. This focus is truly a top priority throughout Lexington District 1, and all of you seniors are a great example of success. During his tenure, Dr. Little has increased mental health and wellness support for our students and our staff. He's increased technology innovation in STEM programs. He's developed strong dual enrollment partnerships with local higher education systems. Under his guidance, Lexington District 1 continues to create and strengthen academic opportunities so that our students are able to create their own pathways to success and ultimately design their own futures. So as our fearless leader and visionary in Lexington District 1, I'd like to introduce Dr. Greg Little.
While I might struggle with the definition of the real Carolina, I will tell you I have enjoyed mustard-based barbecue. My North Carolina friends make me give back my North Carolina card when I admit that, but I do like mustard-based barbecue better than I do tomato or vinegar-based barbecues in North Carolina. Anyway, that's not what you're here for, to talk about barbecue, but if you want to talk barbecue, I will be available later to talk about that. I do want to, once again, thank our event sponsors. This is one of our largest celebrations of the entire year, and though we've had to change the format the last few years, I can't tell you how excited I am to see everybody's faces, to see our parents joining us this year, and so that you can celebrate the hard work and accomplishments of your children. My task tonight is actually to recognize a number of the people that are here. And before I do that, I really just want to thank everybody who's volunteering tonight for a second evening in a row. So a number of people have given 2 nights in a row. Our speaker has made the trip here for 2 nights in a row. Normally we just ask for a commitment of one time, and for them to say it's important enough for us to do this twice, we're very thankful for that. So I'd like to give everybody who's volunteered to do that just a quick round of applause, please, because you're here for a second night. So we have some elected officials here. So the directions tonight that the folks last night did not do a great job of is when I call your name or your group, please stay standing. That's the key. Last night they were up, down. They wanted no a part of standing up. But tonight I want to embarrass you and keep you standing if you don't mind. So we have a couple of our elected officials here from the town of Lexington, council members Kathy Maness, as well as Ron Williams and his lovely wife Catherine, who happens to be a teacher at Lexington Elementary School. So thank you very much for being here. We have a number of Board of Trustee members here. I believe Kathy Henson is here. If you would please stand up. I think I see her in the back, and I'm not sure anybody else is here, but Kathy's here. Thank you for being there. If you are a member of the Educational Foundation Board of Directors, if you would please stand. I know a number of you are here this evening. Our Lexington District One senior leadership team finds themselves almost in the back row, back there. They're standing up as well. If you are a foundation ambassador or part of our foundation staff, please stand. Julie, that'd be you. Yep, absolutely. See, stand up. See, not following directions. If you're a high school principal, director, assistant principal, school counselor, career specialist, coordinator, teacher, or support staff, if you would please stand up. A number of you are standing up. Thank you very much. And then all of our celebration committee coordinators, if you're here, if you'd do that as well. And again, thank you for being here. Many of these people are here for the second evening in a row. Let's give them a round of applause, please. Now tonight, I'd also like to recognize a very special group of people, and that's our parents. Parents, if you would mind, please stand up, because we are thankful for your support and your guidance. Success is rarely an individual endeavor. It's very often a group effort. We are very thankful that you're here tonight. If students, if you would give your parents a round of applause, please, for all they've done for you. Thank you very much. When we talk about excellence, tonight's a celebration of excellence. I'm always fascinated how we think about excellence. I am a big sports fan, and one of our greatest football coaches of all time, Vince Lombardi, described it to his team like this. He said, "We will chase perfection, and we will chase it relentlessly, knowing all the while we can never attain it, but along the way we shall catch excellence." Excellence is not a one-time accomplishment. It's something that we do over time. And as you think about your future, whatever that may look like, know that you can achieve excellence as you have done today because of your effort, because of your commitment, and because of your dedication. Chase what is possible, and you will find the extraordinary. I look forward to seeing you again in just a couple of months as you walk across the graduation stage and we hand you your diploma. And it is my hope you have a wonderful rest of the school year. Good luck, and I'll see you in just a couple months. Oh, and now, I'm sorry, I didn't follow directions very well. Dr. Ryan Poole.
Good evening and welcome to Lexington High School. We at Lexington High are very glad to serve as the host school of the Educational Foundation's 2022 Celebration of Excellence in Education. Honoring the top seniors not only at Lexington High School, but at all 5 of our high schools, is truly a privilege. My Wildcat team members and I are happy to be a significant part of this year's event. Now, for this evening's celebration, I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, Scott Gould, who is an accomplished writer and author, as well as a creative nonfiction instructor for the South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities. Mr. Gould is a native South Carolinian and a graduate of Lexington High School. He is well known for his skills as a Southern storyteller. After graduating from LHS, he attended Wofford College, where he earned a Bachelor's of Arts in English, and his love of writing began. He then went on to study poetry under James Dickey at the University of South Carolina and earned a Master's of Arts, as well as a Master of Fine Arts in Writing from Warren Wilson College. His first book, Strangers to Temptation, is a linked story collection the Atlanta Journal-Constitution called a compulsive read, and forward reviews dubbed funny, often poignant, and not easily forgotten. This is the book, among others, that he has for sale in the lobby and is happy to sign any books purchased after the program this evening. Mr. Gould's memoir, Things That Crash, Things That Fly, was named a finalist for the 2021 Indies Today Awards and one of 2021's best by the Independent Book Review. He's already written another novel, The Hammerhead Chronicles, and it will be published by the University of North Georgia Press in 2022, as well as a second collection of stories, Idiot Men, that is scheduled for publication in 2023. Mr. Gould's fiction and nonfiction have appeared in countless reviews, such as the Kenyon Review, and he has received high praises. He's a two-time winner of the South Carolina Arts Commission's Individual Artist Fellowship in Prose and the South Carolina Academy of Authors Fiction Fellowship. We are pleased to have a fellow Wildcat, Scott Gould, join us as the keynote speaker for the Educational Foundation's 2022 celebrations.
All right, you opened the barbecue discussion up. I grew up in Kingstree, South Carolina. I moved up to Lexington when I was in the 8th grade. So I grew up with pepper vinegar-based barbecue. I never made the transition to mustard, just couldn't do it. It was too much for me. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about tonight. Good evening. I'm really glad to be here. It's so much fun to be back at Lexington High School. Don't hate me because I'm a Wildcat, okay? You know, isn't there? There's a big real rivalry now, right? Okay, not when I was here. That didn't happen. You know, I appreciate the invitation, the chance to talk to all of you. It's pretty cool you're being honored this way tonight and being recognized for all the hard work you put in over the years. Normally, when I do these sorts of things, I'm usually reading from my own work, and it's a little more literary. The work, by the way, which is out there for sale, which would be a wonderful memento of tonight's proceedings, parents, you know, signed copy for the kids. It's great. Okay, that's the shill for the night, all right? I'm not going to do anymore. Anyway, but reading to you from a book didn't seem like the right vibe for tonight. So instead, I'm going to talk about my dog. His name is Frazier. And to be perfectly honest with you, Frazier is sort of an idiot. He's black, and he's tan, and he's long-legged, and he's a mutt, and he's a rescue. And according to one of those DNA testing things that I spent way too much money on, he has a lot of boxer in him. So I named him after the former heavyweight champion of the world, Joe Frazier. See? Boxer, Joe Frazier. Works together. I'm a writer. Now, you're probably too young to know who Joe Frazier is, so ask your parents or your grandparents. But Frazier, the dog, he's whiny, he's anxious, he lives in fear of the world. He's afraid at any second some bloodthirsty cat's going to attack him from behind, or a squirrel will ambush him from overhead. But I love him to death. And every morning, without fail, he wakes me up a couple minutes after the first light seeps through the blinds, and we walk around the neighborhood for a couple of miles. Lately, and actually since the morning after Julie invited me to come talk to you, I've been thinking about all of you while Frazier and I walk. And that fact might spur you to say, Scott, you need to get a life. But nevertheless, you've been on my mind. Every morning when we cross Old Buncombe Road and we head up Clarendon Avenue, while Psycho Frazier keeps his eyes peeled for ninja squirrels and rabid cats, I've been wondering what I was going to say tonight. And just a little side note, my walks with Frazier are when I do some of my best writing. Writers, at least the ones I know, tend to spend a lot more time thinking than actually writing, and thinking is a really important part of a writer's job, that whole figuring out what you're going to do before you actually put something down on paper. But anyway, for the first few days, I was completely convinced that Julie and the good folks at the foundation had made a huge, huge mistake in asking me here. I'm the perfectly wrong person for this job. There's nothing of value that an old, semi-bald, gimpy-kneed Lexington High School alumnus could tell you that would have value. But you got to understand, this is always my go-to response when I'm asked to speak somewhere. I'm instantly smothered with self-doubt and fear. So this anxiety was nothing new to me. And then Frazier and I made quite the pair as we walked down the street, and me dripping with my self-doubt and him keeping his head on a swivel. I mean, let's be real. You don't know squat about me, right? I don't know any of you, and I'm sure you're fine, obviously intelligent young people. You know I've got a dog. That's about the extent of our association so far. But I asked myself as we plodded up the street, what is the important thing, the little lesson, the homily that you absolutely, positively should hear? What is something I could give to you that you could take everywhere you went, that you could always rely on, no matter what your age, no matter whether you're 18 or 25 or 75? Then one morning, while I walked along in my little cloud of self-doubt, accompanied by my neurotic dog, I glanced down in a ditch just off the shoulder of the street. It had rained hard a couple of days before, so a day or two of drier weather, the water had drained from the ditch, leaving nothing but a big puddle of thick, soupy mud. And right there in the middle of that puddle was a kid's toy. A red pickup truck, maybe 18 inches long, the mud halfway up the pickup's oversized toy tires. And I stood there staring at that toy truck hunkered down in the mud, and I immediately wondered, who owned that? Was it a boy or a girl? Had they snuck out to play in the rain? What was so important that they ran off and left their truck bogged down, wheels deep in the mud? Blonde hair, brown hair. If the truck was covered in mud, were they a mess too? Did they get in trouble with mom or dad? I imagine that kid, the one who owned the toy truck 15, 20 years in the future, this time with a real truck, real giant tires, roaring through some giant ditch, slinging mud in all directions. And that was the precise moment I knew one thing I absolutely, positively had to tell you. I need to tell you about my disease. You see, I suffer from extreme curiosity syndrome. Don't Google it. You won't find it anywhere because I just made the thing up. And I don't know when I contracted this disease, maybe back when I was a little kid in Kingstree, South Carolina, and I decided to find out where this creek led one day, and a couple miles later, I was lost as a damn Easter egg somewhere in the middle of the swamp. Or maybe it was when I started buying albums back in middle school and read all the liner notes just to see who played bass on a James Taylor tune or tambourine on that Creedence song. Or maybe it was when I moved into Lexington for high school and would take a John boat out when they pulled the water way down on Lake Murray when the sun was just right on the water to see if I could spot the towns buried underneath the surface. I have no idea when I caught extreme curiosity syndrome, but there's no cure, thankfully. For the last 18 years, I've been trying to infect every one of my creative writing students at the Governor's School for the Arts with this disease. Simply, you cannot be a writer without curiosity. It just doesn't happen. One of our mantras in my creative writing classes is stay curious. Heck, I mean, one year I had T-shirts made for students with that phrase printed across the front. So I sat there staring at that little truck, and I realized that's the first thing I should tell you. Always, always be a curious person. Why? Because curious people are the ones who change the world. Who make the world better, make it more interesting, make it more livable. Without curiosity, the world doesn't advance. There's no art, there's no technology, there's no entertainment, there's no sports, there's no exploration, there's no barbecue. Without curiosity, there are no friendships, there's no conversation, there's no society. Everything that makes your life interesting or comfortable or desirable or challenging is the result of human curiosity. And this is, obviously this isn't a new idea with me. I mean, it's not a new idea. I didn't make it up. Thomas Hobbes, the 17th century philosopher, said curiosity is the lust of the mind. That's a great phrase. Curiosity is the lust of the mind. And Ken Robinson, who's a major international advisor on education that most of the teachers and educators in the room have heard of, he said curiosity is the engine of achievement. So I tell my students, my 17 and 18-year-old jaded, trying to figure out life teenagers, that as writers, it's their duty to be curious about the world around them, which means one simple thing. They have to get out in it. They have to be observers. They should constantly be asking what if and why or why not. When parents come up to me, and this happens every year, parents come up and say, hey, what summer writing camp should I send my kid to? You know, I'd say McDonald's or Burger King or a landscaping company or behind the counter at a Cinnabon. Say, get out there, get a job, get out in the world. Anything that gets them in the world, because that's what writers need most are opportunities to be curious. And you can't get that locked away in a room. Tonight I want to tell you to do the same thing. Right now, as high school students, you're curious because you have to be. You don't have a choice, right? Call it forced curiosity. You're being graded on your performance. And you learn things because, well, you don't really have a choice. I guess you do. I guess you could have a choice. You couldn't choose not to be curious and learn, and I'm sure you know some people who have made that particular poor decision. You obviously haven't, and that's why you're here tonight, and kudos to you for that. But here's the kicker. What happens when you're suddenly on your own, maybe after college, and no one is standing over you, guiding you to be a curious human being? What happens when you don't have deadlines and exams? Can you be curious when curiosity is left totally up to you? As a creative writing instructor, the difficult thing to stomach is that I can't teach my students how to be curious. There's no secret formula, there's no rule book, and I hate this word, there's no rubric for learning how to be curious. All I can do is tell you how important curiosity is. You must train yourself to exercise it. It takes self-discipline, it takes focus, and it takes a thirst to answer those questions, what if and why. Also, the world conspires against you, right? In many ways. There are forces that exist to take the edge off your curiosity. And you know what I'm talking about. You know, TikTok videos of a guy skateboarding off a cliff with, Bernie Sanders mittens on ain't exactly fertilizer for your curiosity. But listen, I'm not by any means trying to be the old guy on the scene screaming, get off my lawn. The rabbit holes you can scurry down on your phone can often feed your curiosity. It happens to me all the time. And there's no reason that your phone or your computer can't be part of extreme curiosity syndrome. But at some point, to be a curious human, you got to get out in the world. You got to participate in it. You have to examine it. And that's difficult to do tucked away in your bedroom staring into a screen. So anyway, back to the mud puddle. That morning there on the side of the road, I asked Frazier to sit down. And I took a picture of the toy truck stuck in the mud puddle, and I got it on my phone if you want to see it. Then we headed home. I was probably walking a little faster, a little happier, because I'd figured out what to say. And here's the next part of the story. I'm a writer. You know there was going to be a next chapter, right? We walked back to my house, and I did what we usually do after our walks. I gave Frazier some water, and I checked to make sure my cat was not preparing to ambush him. Between you and me, I think his sneak attacks are what makes my dog a little crazy. Then I turned on my computer to check my email. And there in the inbox, it was almost glowing at me, were 2 rejections. One from a literary magazine, turning down a new story that I think is a really good story, but not for them. And the other from an agent telling me she wasn't interested in reading the novel I had spent the past 5 years writing. 2 rejections in one morning. And you know what? I think that was an omen. I think a signal about the second thing I need to tell you. I hadn't planned on a second thing, but it was like the gods of speech writing had just laid these 2 rejections in front of me. Suddenly there was something begging to be shared with you, and here it is. Here's the second thing. Never be afraid of failure. For many people, specifically for some writers I know, that pair of rejections in my email would be big, shiny badges of failure. And I have writer friends who don't send their work out because they're afraid of rejection, scared of failure. And it doesn't, frankly, bother me, because a long time ago, an artist friend of mine, someone I trusted very much, said, quote, "Fear of failure is just a lame-ass excuse to do nothing." And he told me this when I was almost 30 years old, and I wish I'd heard it when I was your age. Luckily, you have me. Right? Do not be afraid of failure. You know, think about, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but there's a famous Irish playwright and novelist, Samuel Beckett, and Beckett said, "Ever tried, ever failed, no matter, try again, fail better." Think about that, fail better. If you take that attitude, failure is simply a means to point you in the direction of success. And I'm not telling you to embrace failure and welcome it. I'm not saying you have to enjoy it. I never do. What I'm saying is to attempt something and fail can be a catalyst to try again and again and again until you ultimately find the path to success. Now, this is going to be hard for some of you. Trust me, I've seen it in action. You folks are used to doing things the right way the first time, right? You get good grades, you make A's. What happens if you don't? How will you react? How will you move forward? Years ago, I had this student in a creative writing class at the Governor's School, and one afternoon we had finished class and everybody walked outside just like every other day, and wandering into the hall, checking phones, checking their messages and so forth. And a few seconds later, I heard this horrible scream, like someone had broken a bone or donated an organ or something. It was terrible. It was just full of anguish and pain. And I ran to the door of the classroom, and just outside near the stairwell, this student was writhing on the floor, literally pulling her hair out. And I'd heard that expression before. I'd never seen it in action, but that's what was going on. And I tried to calm her down, and when she stopped sobbing and wailing to take a breath, I asked her what the problem was, and she held up her phone, and through those tears and the spit and the handfuls of hair, she said, "I made a B. I made a B." She calmed down enough to tell me that she'd never made a B in her life, and her life was over, and her parents were going to disown her, and her educational future had been ruined. And I tried to explain to her that a B and A push is not all that bad. It was only a 9-week grade, and she's got 3 more quarters to go, and that didn't work. She wouldn't listen. In her mind, she had failed, and she couldn't, quite obviously, handle failure. And we have a lot of students like that at the Governor's School. For example, when we do creative writing workshops, they're in my workshops, students don't know how to handle it when I tell them, you got a 6-page story here, like take the first 5 pages and trash them, throw them away. Take those couple sentences on page 6 and let's start there. That doesn't go over well. But what I try to teach them to do is redefine failure. Failure doesn't mean you necessarily did something wrong. It simply means you have to explore a better way of doing whatever it is you're doing. You have to, as Beckett said, fail better. That student who was pulling her hair out, she learned how to redefine failure. Her life wasn't over that day at the top of the stairs. It continued right on into her acceptance to Princeton. And you know what? If she had not been accepted to Princeton, she would have been okay, because she had learned to redefine failure and not be afraid of it. So what about you? How are you going to act that inevitable day when something doesn't go your way? Something that you totally expected to go your way. Will failure energize you or paralyze you? Will it motivate you or shut you down? Will failure inspire you or depress you? Because you got a choice, Think of all the people in history who epitomized curiosity. Einstein, Curie, Edison, Jobs, Goodall, and on and on and on. You can just make the list up. The thing they have in common, in addition to extreme curiosity syndrome, they failed time and again. They figured the equation incorrectly, or did the chemistry wrong, or concocted the wrong hypothesis. but they followed Beckett's advice. They failed better until they didn't. So, who knew? I go out one morning walking my crazy dog, and I see a tiny toy pickup truck in the mud, and I get a couple rejections, and boom, the next thing you know, I've discovered what I want to tell you. The only thing left now is to ask you for a favor. When you leave here, think about what I said. Think about how you can stay curious. How can you maintain an excitement about the world you live in? The world you live in, not just the world that exists inside of a screen. How are you going to use any failure you encounter as a tool to lead you to a successful place? How are you going to react to difficulty? Just think about it. Stay curious. Don't fear failure. It'll make you a more interesting person. And good Lord, the world can use all the interesting people it can get. And one last thing. I walk Fraser every morning. We leave out of Adele Street about 6:45. Anytime you want to join me and my idiot dog, we'd welcome the company. We can be curious for a couple miles. Maybe we'll even find out who left their truck stuck in the mud. So thank you for having me. Congratulations. You should be proud of yourself.
Well, that was very good. Thank you, Mr. Gould, for your message to these honored high school students. And that even challenged me to develop extreme curiosity syndrome and to fail better. So really appreciate that. We appreciate you taking the time to be a part of two of our celebrations, last night and tonight. So at this time, we'll begin the ceremonial part of the program in which we will recognize each of our honored seniors. So as chair of the Lexington One Educational Foundation, I have the privilege of inducting the honored Lexington One seniors into the Old English Society. The celebration is truly an important and cherished Lexington One event that honors students' academic successes. Membership into the Old English Society is solely determined by a student's cumulative academic achievements throughout his or her high school years. Membership says for all to see and hear that the recipient has been determined, focused, and successful in achieving the top academic results during their high school career. As tangible evidence of this honor and deserved recognition, each of you will receive a certificate, and you already have an Old English Society lapel pin with the society's name and your high school's letter in the center in your gift bag. So on behalf of everyone with Lexington One Educational Foundation, I applaud you for your commitment to excellence, and I know it will take you to even greater places in the future. So now, if all of our honored seniors would please stand and repeat after me the following image that is going to be shown on the screens in front of you. So all of our seniors stand. I guess we got you all standing here too. So just repeat after me. I pledge myself to maintain a commitment to learning, to always cultivate scholarly habits, to expand knowledge while providing leadership, and to encourage high standards of scholarship, service, and character. Congratulations to each of you seniors for earning membership into the Old English Society. Let's give them a hand. And you may all be seated, okay? And so at this time, I would like to pass the microphone over to Dr. Poole for recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Rice. Seniors, before we begin with recognition of each of you who's being honored tonight, I'm going to share some brief directions as we move through this portion of the celebration. So you'll leave everything at your seat, and when directed, you'll proceed to your right, my left, Follow your peers by row, as you should already be seated with your classmates in alphabetical order. As your principal calls your name, please pick up your celebration certificate from Ms. Washburn, and then enter and walk across the stage to be recognized and congratulated by the Lexington One Educational Foundation Chair, Mr. Chris Rice, and Lexington District One Superintendent, Dr. Greg Little. Afterwards, you'll exit the stage to my right and then proceed back to your seat. So now let's begin the celebration recognitions and have Principal Jacob Smith join me on the stage to honor the students of River Bluff High School.
Good evening. At River Bluff, our motto is work hard, get smart, and do good. And just want to thank these students. You all, you are the guardians of our culture. I want to thank you for being great students. You've earned the right to be here. You've earned the right for your next steps. I want to encourage you each and every day, though, to think about who you need to call, who you need to talk with, who needs to hear your voice. Not only are you gifted and talented academically, but you all have learned how to give back, how to serve. Right now you're working on impact conferences on how to impact your community in a greater capacity. So I just encourage you to continue that journey as well, how to give back to this world and contribute to a better society. Let's get started. Congratulations to you all. Let's start with Cadence Hope Alexander. Alexis Meredith Barnes. Let's hold the applause and we'll give them a big loud one at the very end. Ariana Shalom Bell. Janaki Padmakar Bosley. Calvin Edward Bragg. William Daniel Brock. Kennedy Lee Bizzetti. Matthew Xinghai Chong. Cassidy Marie Cognata. Grayson McKenna Collins. Morgan Chinaki Creighton. Lila Page Daly. James Nathan Dorr. Milan Duda. Bailey Atticus Roundtree Eichhorn. Nolan Matthew Emery. Olivia Alden Essick. Caleb Jared Faison. Caroline Hope Farah. Luke Mingyao Fu. Chaturvedi Gangaroo. Madison Elizabeth Gray. Emily He. Ashley Elena Helms. Arnold Tanky Jane. Ria Kapoor. Abraham Salim Khalil. Aaron Dale Kilgore. Megan Michelle Lally. Caroline Keller Lang. Elizabeth Noreen Long. Mary Reagan Miller. Abigail Bailey Manastra. Kenna Madison Morrison. Stuart Alexander Nichols. Brooke Emily Paget, Nathan Sampras Perry, Adelaide Hope Phillips, Jordan Ray Rourke, Taryn Elise Scott, Rebecca Luann Smith, Emmy Jane Staten, Claire Alexandra Swinebank, Michael Howard Thomas, Courtney Otterley Tax, Virginia Elizabeth Welsh, Georgia K. Wise, Hannah Elizabeth Wood, Carson Sloan Wooten, Rebecca Ryan Young, and Ellen Layan Zhu. Let's give them another round of applause.
Good evening. We're extremely proud to recognize the academic excellence of our Timberwolves tonight. These students have persevered through the global pandemic in what could be considered the most challenging 2 years in public education. Students, your tenacity and perseverance has been phenomenal over the past 2 years, and you've demonstrated traits that will ensure your success in the future. We are proud of each and every one of you. Piper Marie Betty, Grace Elizabeth Blackwell, Amaya Shanice Brewer, Noah Gregory Edward Brewer, Caitlin Nicole Brink, Haley Lynn Bush, Nairi Tatian Chandler, Francesca Lorraine Kohler, Natasia Ayana Dingle, Oscar Ovidio Espinoza Paz, Elise Marie Gwynn, Ryan Carter Havens, Olivia Lauren Hearing, Emma Grace Holsclaw, Ariana Nicole Brown Howard, Elizabeth Marie Hutton, Michaela Ann Keeler, Drew Aaron Labrador, Danielle Shalyn Langley, Hannah Lee Melton, Gunnar David Moore, David Orozco, Valentina Ortiz, Sanskruti Robin Patel, Abby Caroline Ricard. Abby Caroline Rice. Barton Campbell Rice. Chase Matthew Rivers. Jesse Schuyler Rogers. Julie Elizabeth Rose. Trevor Henry Schnabel. Hudson James Simpson. Kaylee Elizabeth Sims. Anna Elizabeth Smith. Karina Nicole Socks. Aubrey Lauren Stargell. Clay Devin Stenger. Adam William Sirach. Amanda Grace Thompson. Tristan Sever Thorvaldsen. Jason Timothy West. Desiree Monique White. Bridget Lee Williamson. Alexis Joy Winters. Christina Grace York. Layla Grace Youngblood.
As we close out this very special celebration of excellence in education, we extend many thanks again to all of our celebration sponsors for your investment in our Lexington District One seniors. Your generous support made this evening a truly special one for the honored students, parents, and our other guests. Thanks to all of our honored seniors and all of our parents, sponsors, and Lexington District One leaders who joined us this evening. For those who could not make it, please know that the celebration live streaming links will remain on the Lexington One YouTube page, and the Educational Foundation staff will also share the links on their social media pages. Reminder that Scott Gould will be in the lobby to sign any books purchased this evening. As you exit the auditorium, please notice that the Educational Foundation has a simple dessert reception prepared and for you to enjoy on your way home. We're so glad that we're able to celebrate our top seniors with us with the class of 2022 for this outstanding academic achievement. Congratulations again to each of you honored seniors. We wish you the best as you move on to your next steps. Have a great evening.